Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and speak with business leaders from all over the world who share their wisdom and expertise so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, and if you're new to the podcast, welcome. So excited to have you here. And make sure that you stay with us till the end, because we have a little gift for you. But I'm excited to chat with my guest today. Actually, this is the second person today I've talked from Vegas. So there's supposed to be something in the air. I think somebody's telling me I need to come out to Vegas, Megan.
I think so. Come to Vegas, it's great.
Exactly. So we're going to dive in, and we're going to have some fun today because we've already chatted behind the scenes. We were already laughing. We're already having a good time. She's a bubbly personality, and I can't wait to chat further and learn more. So without further ado, welcome Megan Wells with Evolve AI to the podcast.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. So let's just dive in. Megan, can you tell us a little bit about you, about Evolve AI, and your role within it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the VP of Marketing at Evolve AI. Historically, I've worked with startups Series A through C, really help focusing on building the systems that help scale businesses. So same with Evolve. That's what I'm doing there, building the Rev Ops machine. We are an experimentation platform. So we use AI to automate the design thinking process, everything from ideation all the way through experimentation, and then feeding the insights from experimentation back into ideation so that you always know what you need to test, what's going to move the mark, and what's ultimately going to get you more conversions.
Awesome. So I've done a little research, and Evolve AI talks about modern marketing leaders needing to think like go-to-market GTM engineers. So can you explain what that mindset shift looks like in practice and why it's essential today?
Yeah, so a go-to-market engineer is sort of this new title that's cropping up, and it's really sort of a stepping stone to like maybe a conversion rate optimization, or I'm sorry, excuse me, a chief revenue officer. It's really making sure that the systems that you're putting in place are moving toward increased revenue within an organization. And so I think that's a little bit different from what a typical VP or even CMO would handle on the marketing side. Usually there's, a bit of a silo between marketing and sales, and maybe marketing owns the pipeline all the way up through opportunity. And then once it gets to opportunity, demo, close one, that's when the sales team really starts taking over the revenue machine. Really, because startups grow so fast and there's so much moving parts, you really need to have somebody that focuses on that machine end to end. And I think that's something that's been shifting over even the last couple of years. I think I first saw the GTM position maybe even just 6 months ago. So it's something that's very new to marketers, but it's something that really makes sure that there's no leaking at any part of the funnel. Once someone from the sales team gets a new lead, what happens to that lead? Who's owning that? Is it solely the sales responsibility, or what can marketing continue to do to support it, and better yet, automate it so that there is no leaking in the funnel?
So can you share with us how expectations have changed for marketing leaders when it comes to owning the full growth engine, from strategies to systems to pipeline accountability?
Yeah, I mean, marketing is ever changing. I mean, we've talked about evergreen content in the past, gated ebooks, we've talked about influencer marketing. All of these things are still valid to some degree, though I would argue some things like, gated assets are not quite as popular as they once were. But so all of these shifts are happening in the type of content that's important. We don't focus on top of funnel as much. We need to focus more on middle and bottom of funnel. Attribution is getting harder. There's more channels. Now with AI and large language models, Google results are different. It's AI generated. So there's all these things that are moving parts that you need to be able to be accountable for, regardless of if you have the black box of attribution. You don't know what your customers were doing before they landed on your site. And so having marketing be accountable for the full funnel and implement more systems. Luckily, now we have more AI that allows us to have some more of these systems affordably. It makes attribution almost a little bit less relevant because you still have the accountability from stage to stage, from handoff to handoff. And that tightening of process and system ensures that no matter who's coming through the pipeline, someone will be handling them, someone will be able to have accountability for that progress through the stages, and you'll more easily be able to see at a higher level what's working and not what's not working, so that you can facilitate change in a scalable way.
So for startups, many startups have tight resources. Resources are constrained, tight, limited. So in these environments, how can teams use AI and automation to drive impact without burning out their talent or breaking the budget?
I think that's the most beautiful thing about AI in its present state is that it's not necessarily meant to replace job functions. I know that was a really big
Yeah.
fear when AI first came out. ChatGPT is going to replace all copywriters, all content strategists. I see it more as human in the loop and human partnership. So it allows not only the output to be better because you are collaborating together, but it allows your team to do more things with less resources without burning them out. For example, we do a lot of ABM marketing. We use propensity for that, which automates the outreach based on triggers of intent. We have trained a ChatGPT instance with our product documentation so that not only is it easier to get a foundation with the content that we need to write at middle and bottom of funnel, but we also have a prompt library so that our sales team can quickly generate sequence information that's on brand without tapping the marketing team every time. We use HubSpot Breeze Intelligence to enrich our properties for our contacts so that our sales team spends less time prospecting. We use HubSpot as our primary CRM, so all of the AI that comes about without automating lifecycle stages, automating outreach. And then obviously we use Evolve AI for experimentation. And all of those things, I mean, our tech stack isn't huge. We're not spending tens of thousands of dollars on it. We're spending a very lean amount of resources on the AI. But with that, we have a very lean team as well. We have only two full-time people, and then we work with agencies and consultants. But I feel like in this place, in this moment, using AI has allowed me to put out the work of a team of 20
Mhm.
with, you know, the resources of a team of two.
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's talk prompt engineering. That's become a hot topic. So, Megan, how do you see marketers effectively leveraging prompts to drive smarter, faster campaign execution or personalization?
Yeah, I mean, prompt engineering can be approached in so many different ways. A simple example would be for, let's say, paid ad headlines. You have to generate 30 different combinations, but with limited real estate, how many times can you do that personally over and over again, and how quickly can you do that?
Mhm.
I love using prompt engineering to help me come up with those combinations with the character counts, kind of piecemeal the ones together that make the most sense and start reiterating using GPT to help me with that. That's one small example. I think that prompt engineering in the way that I use it for bigger tasks is, sometimes my prompt isn't just two sentences. Maybe it is almost the fully fleshed out blog or long form piece of content that I'm writing. And then going back and forth, let's do this with a challenger mindset. Let's do this with more humor. Make sure this maps back to our brand guidelines. And so, like I said earlier, it really is a human in the loop collaboration of what you bring to the table influences what the output of the AI will be. I think even, something very popular in content marketing is this use of always on content. You record an hour-long interview with a subject matter expert. You want to distill that down into bite-sized chunks of video that can be reapplied for social media, that can be embedded in a blog. You want to write a blog, you want to write a newsletter. Taking that first big piece of content and helping, prompt the GPT to turn it into these different forms of assets using your original thought, using your original content. That's something that's very compelling and time saving, I suppose. Also, just using it for analysis. I mean, how many different data sources do you have information in that are not always in communication with one another? stitching together those insights with an analyst or somebody that would really need to sit down, manually weed through all the information to find patterns and understand what's happening, prompting GBT to do that for you, for example, is a huge time saver
Yeah.
and a great way to get some output that's meaningful to the business.
Yeah, and I think I think prompt is probably one of the most challenging piece for beginners or newbies using Chat GPT or any AI platform, because they just kind of basically put something in and then expect miracle, magic to happen. And we really need to have fun with it. That's what I started doing. I'm like, have fun with it. Get it, like you said, add it, like ask it to go, okay, can you add some humor to this? Or can you do this in an emotionally communicative way or an emotionally moving way? And it's amazing how it'll shift that voice. So yeah, that's that. I love that you said all that, because I think it's important. I think people miss that. They kind of like throw something in and they take what it gets out. And it's like, no, you can really add some personality to this, but you also have to ask for it. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So when you come into an early stage startup to rebuild the go-to-market engine, where do you start? What's your audit or diagnostic process look like?
Yeah, and this is something that is constantly evolving for me personally. I think with every business I've worked with, I may have slightly iterated on this approach, but the approach that I'm currently taking, and if I were to join a new company tomorrow, the approach I would take is really taking time to get to know the existing system. What are the definitions of your SQLs, your MQLs, your opportunities? Do those definitions still meet the needs of your sales team? Do they still meet the needs of the business goal? Is the automation that you have in place to trigger your sequences, trigger your life cycle changes, are those things actually mapped? Or did you inherit a system that's had two or three CMOs before, each with their own nomenclatures and decisions that are kind of like Frankenstacked together, you know? And so really getting to know what systems are already in place. Are they reliable for the accuracy of the data that comes out at the end? And if not, what changes need to be made? And then from there, the approach I've been taking is really starting at top of funnel, moving to middle, and then bottom, both in terms of the content and the assets that you produce, but also in the focus of what systems you're putting into place. And so, for us at Evolve, 2 quarters or so ago, we focused squarely on our top of funnel. We looked at, is our messaging still keeping track with what our current product capabilities are? Are we still meeting the needs of our ICP? How has our ICP changed now that the product has changed? And making sure that all of those touch points that someone initially sees still align and resonate with what our core mission and values are. And then from there, moving to, okay, we have all this content, the leads are coming in, the demand is working. What are we doing with that demand? Are we ensuring that the sales team can easily see the hottest leads? Can they easily book a meeting? Can they easily downgrade somebody in life cycle stage if they're no longer qualified as an SQL? How much of that can we automate? Now, what do the sequences look like? What are the triggers so the sales team doesn't have to worry so much about truly net new content for every single person that comes in? And then from there, how are we reporting on the opportunities? Are the systems for tagging where a deal is at, do those still make sense as pipelines have grown, as different types of businesses have been coming in? Is this still working for us? And then kind of just circling back. All right, now that as a small team, that's probably a year and a half of work. So let's go back to the basics and make sure that the organization is still flowing in the way it needs to be, in the same cadence that someone would flow through your pipeline.
Yeah. So you mentioned ICP. So let's go there. Who
Okay.
is, because you said you got to check in. Is
Yeah.
are we still attracting the same ICP? Since our product's evolving, is our ICP the same, or are they evolving? So who is your ICP for those that are listening and go, I need to learn more about Evolve?
Yeah, so the most simple answer to that is e-com businesses with 5 million in annual revenue a year. That's the sweet spot for us.
Mm-hmm.
However, we've recently launched our product-led growth strategy, which really allows us to work with folks that are more downstream, down market. And that's really for the ideation piece. If you are a marketer that relies a lot on gut instinct when it comes to things like a rebrand or redesigning a website, we attach data to the decision. So instead of just overhauling your homepage or product page, we'll tell you the exact modules that you should update to increase your conversion rate. And then you can actually prototype those versions of the different experiments using our generative AI. And then when it comes to experimentation, you can do A/B testing if you have a bit less traffic than, an enterprise or larger sized organization, or you can get into multivariate and ABN. And so our ICP at its core is still very much around any type of organization that has a lot of transactions. Typically, those conversions are checkout. However, we have had success with B2B that are looking for lead gen, more engagement. We've also worked with a lot of fintech organizations, but the bulk of our content, e-com, marketing, product, people that need more conversions.
Awesome. So can we talk about growth a little bit? Can you share with us, Megan, like what are some of the challenges you faced as you're growing Evolve AI?
I would say the thing that is probably a common pain point for a lot of marketers is the scalability of the way systems were set up. I think earlier in my career, when I thought of the word scale, I always thought of headcount. Like, okay, if I'm going to scale my team, I need to know which new positions to hire for. But really, scaling is about what parts of your system are broken and hindering your growth and making the pipeline leaky or whatever. And so, I'd say the biggest challenge is just overcoming legacy systems and making sure that in the midst of all the chaos, we need this piece of content, we need this campaign launched, that you're still focusing on scaling in a systematic way, which requires systems to be built. And I think, I entered into a scenario where I inherited systems from several marketers past, and reverse engineering that the longer that it goes is harder. And that is where the pain point is. And that's what, but that's ultimately what it halts growth if you don't focus on that from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you share with us some of the goals? What it North Star for you all for the next 12 months? What does that look like?
The North Star, I can't measure in 12 months at a startup. Let's
Okay, 3 months. Do you go quarter by quarter? Yeah, quarter by quarter. Yeah.
This quarter is really all about what we're doing to optimize our nurture. It's focusing on that middle and bottom of funnel, making sure that our SQLs convert to opportunities and then close one, and really focusing on that middle part of the funnel to grow our revenue.
Awesome. So Megan, can you share with us your startup and how are you getting in front of those e-com companies, your ICP, visibility wise? Like how are you creating what are you doing to stand out from others in your space?
Yeah, I would say that our technology is really uniquely positioned in the fact that we don't have a direct competitor. We have three categories of competitors that we flirt with each of those categories, but in the entirety of what we offer, we're very unique. And so really just being bold about that, saying, this isn't A/B testing, this isn't ABN, this is something completely different that no one else offers. And so focusing on that from a messaging standpoint, and then from actual tactics and channels, LinkedIn on a personal page for influence marketers or for influence marketing, events. I think people are really craving that human connection. We went through the COVID era of podcasts and webinars, and those things are still great, but there was a sense of fatigue for a little bit with those. And now that events are back in full swing, we found that people really want to connect human to human. And so that's been a channel that's been really wonderful for us and something that gets us out in the way that we want to. Retargeting, making sure that people that have shown intent and engagement are still being able to understand what we're doing, even if they are researching flights on another screen as they're also researching products. So, I wouldn't say that we're necessarily doing anything that's just so different from any other marketer. It's just really focusing on the precision, the targeting, and the personalization, making sure that you know who you're speaking to and doing it well while also differentiating yourself. So,
Yeah.
easy task, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if I could give you hand you a magic wand, Megan, and you can go wave it over one thing, one issue, and go poof, take it away. That could be holding you back from the North Star or target for the next 3 months. What would that be and why?
That's a really good question.
So
Oh man, can I say poof to all the DMs that everyone gets in LinkedIn and on email and just like silence it so there's no noise and it's just a direct line of communication?
how do we create that? We should work on that. We'll be rich. um, okay, so let's talk about this then. What does success look like for you in Evolve AI? And I could ask you 12 months, but I'll go 3 months.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think success, I mean, if I'm saying this from the business standpoint, obviously success means revenue and growth in that way. But I think that continued alignment across all teams is really what internal success looks like for me in this moment. Because we've been talking a lot about building systems and processes and all this and needing sole accountability to make sure that everything gets done. But at the same time, you need collaboration from product, you need collaboration from sales. If you don't have a CRO, if you don't have a head of product marketing, if your leadership team is lean, success really looks like, hey, are we sharing back the information that we're learning from all these systems, from the data that's coming in, from the field, from product, engagement, things of that nature, and being able to marry those for a cohesive strategy that spans all lines of business. I think that's truly what success and growth looks like.
I love it. So my last question is, how do you, maybe not my last question, we'll see. How do you balance the need for speed with the need for scalable infrastructure, especially when pressure is high to hit short-term growth metrics?
I think this is just an ongoing challenge that I'm speaking from marketers, that's my experience, is really learning how to say no to ad hoc asks. I think when you have a lean team, when you're in leadership, you're getting requests from post sales about help with QBR presentations or from sales about a one-off sales enablement asset for a comparison sheet or whatever it is. Those things are all important. I won't discredit that. But if your ultimate goal is focusing on something else in quarter, you can't focus on everything and do them all well. You really need to be ruthlessly prioritizing the things that you're truly needing to focus on. And you might not appease everyone, you might piss a couple people off, but really, if you don't have that focus and that prioritization, you're going to end up with content that is off brand or doesn't connect to a strategy. You can't measure it. So, really, just focusing on prioritization.
Fantastic. So one last question for you. What excites you the most about the future of AI powered marketing and go to market GTM strategy?
I think for me, it's just the quality of output has become so much better. I am not a designer, but now I can put together a way better wireframe for what I'm trying to visually communicate that I didn't have access to do before. My stick figures and scattered lines didn't paint the picture of what I'm really thinking of. And I think that human in the loop collaboration just makes output 100 times better. I think I'm excited to see how it continues to grow. I mean, just in the last year, the outputs from any of the AI services that you've used with
Mm.
generative AI went from a very bare bones article or, a very clip arty looking graphic to something that could almost be production ready with limited fine tuning. And it's just exciting to see that creativity will not go away and AI will just make it better.
Yeah, I've actually seen so much progress with just chat and also just AI, platforms in the last 4 months. Just especially when it comes to graphics, I would ask for graphics and I would be like, and the words would be spelled wrong. And then I'm like, fix this. And it would just mess up the word. I'm like, spell it like this. It would just mess it up even more. And now it's finally like, and I'm like, wow, the progress in just 3 to 4 to 5 months. It's just been really, really good. So I can't even imagine what it's going to look like a year from now. And like you said, a year ago and 2 years ago, it was completely different than what it looks like now. But I love how you touched on so many good gold nuggets, Megan, and that you shared that it's not here to take our jobs away, which that was a huge fear. And I think there still is a fear out there that it's going to be wiping out jobs. But, as long as you're staying active in it and you're learning to grow with it, then you're going to be one of those safe people. If you're deciding to maybe not dabble in it or not learn it, then that's where you probably run into the issue because it's not going away, and I have teenagers and I wish they were using it more in school because with schools, they're trying to keep them from doing it a little bit because they don't want them, quote unquote, like cheating. But that's the way the world's going. That's how we're learning and growing. And I think our kids need to be doing that too. So I'm hoping that just like the calculator when I was in school, like they didn't really want you using it because they thought it was cheating. But now it's like we have, how many do we have on us at all times?
You have a whole computer on us at all time. Yeah.
So it's not going away. So Megan, how can people connect with you and reach out to you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Megan Wells. I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Evolve AI, based out of Las Vegas, or directly from the Evolve AI website. You can fill out a form and contact me.
Fantastic. Well, make sure that you go to Evolve AI, go check out Megan on LinkedIn. If you are watching us on YouTube, thank you. We appreciate you being here with us. And make sure to hit that subscribe button because that's going to alert you when we have new episodes dropping with our amazing guests, just like Megan today, who are sharing their wisdom and expertise with you so you can grow. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform like Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all the places, and you can leave a review, please do. 5 stars really helps us be able to share Megan and all of our amazing guests and the message, the growth strategies, the visibility strategies that they're sharing with more people so more businesses can keep their doors open and succeed versus close. We that stat is not where I like it to be. We want to flip those numbers on the doors that stay open, the businesses that succeed over 5 years. I promise y'all a gift. So if you are looking to grow your business, scale, and you're trying to get visible and you're trying to do some of the marketing things that, Megan shared, that we've been sharing on this podcast, and you feel like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and it's not sticking, then go ahead and download our Spotlight to Scale Blueprint. You can go to Spotlight to Scale/Blueprint and you can grab that. It's free. It's yours. And again, go to Evolve AI, check out what they do. They're doing amazing things over there. Small team, but mighty powerhouses. And make sure that you connect with Megan on LinkedIn as you heard her, if you're listening to us or you're seeing her, she's a rock star. She's amazing. So Megan, is there anything before we wrap up that you would like to share that I didn't get to ask you or we didn't touch on?
I don't think so. This has been a productive conversation. I really appreciate your time and having me on. This is fun.
Absolutely. We'll have to do it again in a year. You'll have 3 months to get measure those goals and we'll come back and see where you are. Absolutely. So thank you, Megan, for being here. Thank you for listening to Megan and I today on the Business Growth Spotlight podcast. And we will see you very soon on the next episode.